Tonight's message I labeled God's Library. God's Library. So when I was a little kid, one of the most exciting things I got to do was actually go to the library. Me and my sister would get in the car with my mom and we'd take the 15-20 minute trip it was out to the local library, and it was always exciting, right? I was super nerdy when I was a little kid, so I loved doing all kinds of book reading and stuff like that. We'd go and they had the Discovery Channel and National Geographic movies and stuff there about like volcanoes and outer space and all this stuff. Used to love going there and getting all that stuff. So God has a library too. Not quite as many books as you would think of a traditional library. He doesn't need that many books. But he does have some books in there, and we're going to talk about 4 of those books tonight. So that first book we're going to look at is called the Book of Tears. The Book of Tears. The first time that you see this mentioned is actually in Psalms. We're going to be bouncing all over the Bible for these books. So the Book of Tears in Psalms chapter 56, verse 8. So Psalms 56, verse 8 says, they gather themselves, wrong one. Sorry, 56, 8, there we go. They'll tell us my wanderings, put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in thy book? So, during this time, David was being chased by the Philistines, and he was trying to hide out for a little while. It was one of those moments where he was just starting to break down, right? The stress of being chased all over through the deserts and everywhere was really starting to get to him. And he actually started breaking down into tears during this, and just bawling his eyes out just in that sorrow, the stress of everything that's going on. And as you continue to read in chapter 26, as David does several times throughout the book of Psalms, he starts in to these moanings and stuff and talking about his sorrows to God and everything. And then in doing that, he actually kind of gives himself a pep talk. So he kind of flips around, and he ends up in a much better mood by the end of it and actually praising God. So have you ever had something like that happen? Where you're just going through something that's so emotional, you just start bawling. It could be good. It could be a great time. Something happens, you're just so full of joy. You just can't help but cry. Or on the flip side of that, maybe something extremely tragic happened. Something very sad, heartbreaking occurred, and you cried from that. Either way, God takes note of that. Any kind of tear that you shed, every single tear that you shed, God tracks that. He keeps check on all of that. And your tears can actually move God into taking action. When you're so heartfelt and you feel an emotion so strong about a particular thing, especially when you take it to God in prayer, those tears actually do move God. Isaiah in chapter 38, it's the story of Hezekiah. He was actually told he was going to die. It's coming. And he broke down. He started crying. And he prayed to God about it. And God listened to him and hearkened to him. And extended his life by 15 years. Gave him 15 more years because his tears moved him. So God keeps track of all the tears and everything. The next book in God's library is the Book of Remembrance. It's the Book of Remembrance. And we read that in Malachi. Malachi chapter 3, verses 16 and 17 talks about it. Chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. So, Book of Remembrance. A lot of times you see in the Old Testament, God will use something that relates to something else that people at that time would know, something that they would understand. So the Greek kings of that time used scrolls of remembrance or books of remembrance in case someone did something really good for the king. Maybe somebody went out and maybe pulled a David or something, or pulled a Joseph and did something that completely saves a kingdom. Right? Maybe they find a way to save a harvest, find a way to fix the economy. They do something major. Maybe they even save the king's life. Whatever it is, something major like that, the king will take note of that and write it down on one of these scrolls. And then they might not immediately repay that person for whatever it was. It might take some time. They might forget about it, and then a little while later, ever so often, go back and review that and be like, oh, hey, this guy actually saved my life on this event. I haven't done anything for him. We need to do something about this. We need to give him some sort of reward for that. So this is talking about for those that fear the Lord and thought upon his name. So fear the Lord is oftentimes throughout the Bible isn't talking about terror. It's not like you're terrified of God. It's like a fear that's out of respect for God. So it's just talking about when you have that good respect for him and when you think upon his name. So when you meditate, when you pray on God, when you think about what he would have you do, anytime you do studying in the Bible, any of those times, whether you do praise and worship, whether you're here at church, at your home, in your car, any of those things count toward this. And God looks back on that and he records those and he keeps track of every time you do something for him, every time you do something that will bring him glory in some way or the other, that will benefit him. He will keep track of all that. And then verse 17 tells us about the benefits of being in the book of remembrances on that day. So when God, like I said a minute ago, some of the kings, they don't immediately repay those things that those people did. God may not immediately repay you for something that you did. Tithes, for example. You be paying tithes on and on and on for years on end, and you might never see a benefit from it. But one day something happens. Maybe you lose your job, you get in a car wreck or something, there's some big lawsuit going on, something along those lines. You have no idea what you're going to do. And then it's then that out of somewhere, another solution comes along. That's God repaying you down the line for something that you've been doing the whole time. For your faithfulness, God is going to pay that forward for you. And that's one of the things that chapter 17 says, verse 17 says, is that God will, on that day, make up my jewels. He will make up for what you've done in one form or fashion. Well, we're halfway through it. Told you a long night tonight. The third book, I'm sure everybody's heard of these last two. The first two, hit or miss. These last two, absolutely. So the book of works. The book of works. When we first read about the book of works, that is actually in Revelation. Well, maybe not the first time. One of the more prominent times that you hear about the book of works. It's Revelation chapter 20, verses 12 through 13. So verses 12 through 13. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which was the book of life. We'll get to that one. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works. So, everything that you've done, your entire life, all of it, every word you've said, every action you've taken, every thought you've had, is all recorded in the book of works. How does that make you feel?
Where is that? That's in Revelation?
This is in Revelation chapter 20, verses 12 to 13. Revelation chapter 20, verses 12 and 13. So everything you've done your entire life is recorded. A lot of things I wish it wasn't recorded. So this book is a little different from the book of remembrance. The book of remembrance is God remembering you for things that you've done for him. The book of works is remembering just things about you. Everything about you. So it mentions the dead. I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. The sea gave up the dead, and death and hell delivered up the dead, which were in them. So these dead, these are not the saints this is talking about. These aren't talking about saints that have died, passed, and are now being resurrected.
I have a question about that. Because I read that today. I had a person who couldn't understand how God had given the sea and all that, and how could they go up into heaven? And I said, the way I understand it, I think we're all molecules, and that's nothing for him to just put us all back together again. I don't know if that was a good answer or not.
Well, it is, when we look at it's God that's doing it, right? The one who created everything, like the entire universe,
I mean, you're not lost.
spoke it into existence. So he absolutely has the power to do anything he wants. He can raise the dead. He can reverse time, make time go backwards. He could collapse the entire universe if he wanted to. He could make another universe. He could literally do anything he wants. So for him to be able to raise the dead, it would be a small thing for him to be able to do.
Well, that's kind of like the book of Jeremiah, where he said, go speak to the bones. And the bones all came together.
Yep.
Yet he knew each person, he knew each body, which bones went where.
Absolutely.
And there was, they were scattered. It was just a valley of bones. And when you were saying that, God just put that to my remembrance.
Absolutely.
You know, wow, that's
Yeah, so the dead that this was talking about, like I said, it's not talking about the saints. It's talking about those that were not saved. Those that didn't accept Jesus Christ into their lives as their personal Savior. Those are the dead that's being resurrected at this time. Those are the ones that are being judged. So it applies to those that are unsaved. Those are the ones that will get judged out of the book of works. Fortunately for us, being saved, born again, makes that book of works for you invalid. Because they pull out the book of works. If you notice also in there that they pull out the book of life. Right? The books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. So they do two checks. They say, okay, is your name in the book of life? Nope. All right, let's start from the beginning. And they'll go through every single thing that that person did. And they're going to have to stand there and realize that everything they did, good and bad, is going to be recorded in there, and it's not enough. Even if everything in that book of works is amazing, even if they were a great person, it's not enough. And then they'll get cast into the lake. But if that person comes up and they go, okay, let's see if your name's in the book of life. All right, we'll just take this and next. And it goes that smoothly. So it applies. The book of works is one that's going to apply to those that are not saved. So from there we move to probably what's the most well-known book of all of these four, and that is the book of life. So the book of life itself is mentioned approximately 14 times in the Bible. At least that's all I could find of it, in various forms, whether it mentions the scroll of life, the book of life, the book of life of the Lamb, something along those lines. It's mentioned 6 times in the Old Testament and 8 times in the New Testament, so pretty close to a tie on that one. In Revelation, chapter 3, verse 5, it says, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So Jesus right there says, it's red letters in Revelation chapter 3, verse 5, he will not blot that person's name out of the book of life. Does that mean that once you are in the book of life, you cannot be taken out of it? Ooh. A little controversial there, right? Kind of touches
on both sides.
Kind of touches on that once saved, always saved thing. If you look in Exodus chapter 32, verses 31 through 33. Through 33. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, O this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. So Moses at this time knew that God had a book of life. He knew it was there. And he's pleading with God to blot his name out of it. And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. On that one, it does tell you that if you sin against God, God will, in fact, take your name out of the book of life. So that is a controversial point for a lot of people. However, there's evidence in there that you can be taken out of it if you turn your back on God. A little controversial, but that's what it is. It's biblical, and it's there. I think another way to look at it is Paul puts it very well. He says, it's in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 7. He says, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. So salvation is like a gift. It is a gift to you from Jesus Christ. Presented to you for free. It is a gift. You don't have to pay anything for it. You can't pay anything for it. There's nothing you could give that would equal that value. It's not possible. So Jesus Christ gives you that gift. You can, in fact, accept that gift. Just like if someone were to give you another gift, like Steve, give you a nice gift. You can accept that gift. Once you accept that gift, you can also give that gift back. You can give that gift away. You can return that gift. With being saved, if you turn your back on God and you stop following His teachings, you do more than just backslide a little bit. You completely turn your back on everything that's in this book. And you don't repent. You fall back into a life of sin. That's returning that gift that God gave you. It's turning your back on what He gave you and the principles and everything that stands behind that gift. Revelation, again, chapter 20, verse 15. It says, and whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So everyone that was judged by the book of works was cast into the lake of fire. Everyone whose name was taken out of the book of life would also fall into that category. So a good way to avoid that. Romans chapter 10, verses 9 through 10 tells us, if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. That's the easy way to know that you're saved. It spells it out very well. Paul does a great job of writing down exactly what you have to do to get saved, to get yourself put in to the book of life. But how do you know that you're in the book of life once you're saved? How do you know that you're there? We'll have to fall back again to Revelation chapter 3, verse 5. So what we looked at a minute ago. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So when you overcome it, when you are done, when you are doing, as Paul said earlier, when you ran the race, when you ran the good race, and you finished, and you're standing there at those gates, and they open up those books, and you're standing there clothed in that white raiment, washed clean by the blood of Jesus. He's going to look and see your name in the book of life and not blot you out. But Jesus Christ will stand with you and stand before you and confess to God and to all the angels there that this one is mine, that this one can come in, this one is with me, this one believed me for who I was, this one accepted me into their hearts, and they lived right by me. So if you haven't done that, I absolutely invite you to do that.